Hi, and welcome to Dating Dames V2. I'm Jackie, and this is my wonderful co-host Michelle. Whether you're newly single, divorced, or simply waking up to the possibility of love once again, you're in the right place. Because yeah, Dating Dames, we believe it's not about him, it's about you. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Welcome.
Oh, I'm super good. I had a nice game of
Good.
paddle this morning for paddle tennis for anyone who
Lovely.
doesn't know. We'll talk about that later. How are you
Awesome.
doing, Jackie? Where are you right
Yeah,
now?
I'm really good. I'm actually, I'm not in Cape Town city centre. I'm on the coast. It's the holidays. It's winter, so it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's a bit it's drizzling a little bit outside, but the weather's great enough. For me, just being on the coast is absolutely beautiful. So yeah,
Yeah,
really happy.
nice.
What are we
Lovely.
talking about today?
So today,
Mm,
we're talking, many women after divorce are, they feel confident, capable.
yes.
You've probably been through a pretty intense time. I know that both of us, went through at least a year of fairly intense emotional um, kind of rebuilding.
Yes.
But then you kind of come out of it and you're presenting this kind of, I've got it all sorted, I'm ready to go, feeling good, I've accepted, I'm looking forward to the future. But still, there's probably something internally that we're still carrying. I think we all
Mm,
have that a little bit. And something about dating tends to bring those things out, tends
mm,
to shine a light on maybe the old beliefs that you've
yes.
had. Maybe you've always had this belief about, about the kind of men you attract and maybe only the
Mm,
unavailable ones.
mm,
Or some women who do very well financially might think, oh, men just want to use me for their money, for my money.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Or I can't trust men, or
Mm,
men only want me for sex, or
mm,
I don't trust the red flags I see. My intuition isn't that built. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on kind of under the
yeah.
surface. And perhaps they bring about sort of painful or regular patterns, or an armor protecting yourself from being hurt.
Yeah.
And so what we want to talk about today is really how can we reset? How can
Mm,
we become aware of the patterns? You're not going to fix them all overnight or have them fixed before you start dating, but to try to be aware of them and stop bringing yesterday as much as possible into today,
yes.
because
Mm.
it's going to impact how you date, the people you attract, and it's an important thing to become aware of. So it's a little bit of a heavier topic today, Jackie.
It is. Buckle up, ladies. It is a heavier topic today, but I think it's one of those topics that needs to be spoken about
Mm,
because it needs to be spoken about and it needs to be actioned internally within yourself. And it's one of those topics that the more you speak about, the more you start recognizing these patterns.
yeah.
You become aware of yourself, your own false beliefs. I mean, I've had quite a few when I started my dating journey post-divorce. I needed to shift those patterns as well. And then when you do, you start seeing life from a very different perspective. So yeah, definitely something we need to talk about.
So maybe you could kick us off with, like, we have a few points we were going to just talk about
Yep.
kind of generally, and maybe you kick us off
Yes.
with the first one.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the first points that we spoke about was this idea of attraction, and that you
Mm,
attract what you believe, whether consciously or subconsciously, what you're worthy of. And honestly, that was a real bitter pill for me to swallow, especially in the early stages of dating when I didn't quite work through A, what my beliefs were, B,
mm.
were they serving me, were they not? And so it was really a case of me having to sit down and really think about it. I mean, we've spoken about this endlessly, and I'm so grateful for that because it helped me kind of just like remove
Yeah,
it,
same.
getting rid of those burdens that just hold you back and keep you stuck. And so for
Yeah.
me, it was, things like there are the easier ones, like if you believe men always leave. And when you're divorced, especially at the request of
Mm,
your partner, that can really scar one, which is exactly what happened to me.
me
So if
too.
you
Yeah.
believe that men, yeah, if you believe that men will always leave, you start tolerating a bit of emotional distance, or if you believe that
Mhm.
you're too much. You are told you're too much, you're not good enough. I mean, where the hell are you? You
Yeah.
start to shrink and contort yourself and you try to fit into a mold of what a man expects from you as opposed to what you expect from
Yeah.
yourself, as opposed to what you want out of life. And I think one of the beautiful things, and before you share one of your stories, and I hope you're happy to do this, but I think one of the great things that I particularly, and I know you feel this as well, is that we don't need to consult anymore. We don't need to mold ourselves and shrink ourselves and dim ourselves anymore because we've shifted that away already. And when you do, the whole dating adventure changes drastically because you date from a place of strength. There is a lot more personal this and the strength that I'm talking about is the personal inner strength within yourself. And you start
Yeah.
seeing yourself very differently. So are you happy to share,
Oh,
your
yeah.
personal
Oh,
story
God,
with
yes.
me? Yeah, please do. Please
I'm
do.
an open
Mm.
book, as you know.
I know,
Um,
I love it.
but the big, the story, my story that I think if I'm honest, I still am working through, but it's the little
Mm,
bit, it's definitely that you're too much, right?
yes.
It's the,
Mm,
because, as many of our listeners and you certainly know, I love to
mm,
explore, try new things, push my boundaries.
yeah.
I'm very cognizant of time and how valuable
Mm,
time is. So I've
mm,
sketched this out and I've done that and I've got my vacations planned for the next couple months, and
mhm,
I'm learning a language or I'm reading, whatever I'm doing. I'm
mm,
doing a lot because I enjoy that. But
yes.
I realized, and especially even in my marriage, that this is not how my husband is, my ex was. And so when he requested the separation, I immediately went to this moment of, oh my God, it's because I'm too
Yes.
much. I'm always
Mm,
pushing for something. I can't just relax and just let it be. Um,
mm,
and so I think definitely in this journey, it's hard to know when are you compromising in a good way and allowing other people to be themselves, and when are
yes.
you compromising yourself too much. And
Yes.
it's a hard place to find, I think, especially
Mm,
initially when you're dealing with so much baggage from your past.
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I realized in my previous marriage was I wish somebody had told this to me. Yeah, I have always heard, yes, marriage requires lots of hard work. No problem. Marriage requires lots of compromise. Problem. I thought the compromise related to chicken or beef on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize was that, and it happened slowly, so slowly. It was so minuscule, you almost didn't notice it. But it was the
Mm,
compromise of your values. And so for
mm,
me, I always thought that when people spoke about this whole idea of compromise, I thought it was okay, you compromise yourself. Like, what does it mean? Do you compromise your values, your boundaries? And do you just say, oh, that's what they're talking about when they speak about this hard work?
mm,
I've now subsequently realized that no, when you start compromising yourself, as I did, and you're compromising your values and your boundaries,
mm.
then I don't believe that that's the compromise people speak about. Because effectively, once you start doing that, and it is a very slow chiseling away process, you start
Yeah.
losing that which is core to you. You start losing that which is the essence of you. And for me,
Well, I was going to say, I mean, just your words just now were reminding me of maybe just a few sentences from my ex at some point when we were talking after separating, and I said something to the
mm,
effect of, no, I'm good. I find myself laughing and smiling so much more.
mm,
And he's like, yeah, like when we first met.
mm.
And it just sort of hit me like how much, to your point, it's a slow process that you don't
Oh,
necessarily
yes.
recognize.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're in this place where you have either dimmed down or controlled or allowed them to take a moment. And before you know it, I'm not laughing and smiling anymore. I've let
Yes.
go of that whole piece of myself to
Yes.
to the dismay, honestly, of both of
Mm,
us in that
mm.
situation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the frog in the pot, right? It's a very slow process.
It
The
is.
water
And
starts.
And you don't know, right? I mean, again, to
Exactly.
the chicken or beef on a Sunday is, a small thing, but,
Mm,
maybe he always chooses. Maybe every Sunday is his choice and you always give in. And then you start to go,
mm.
wait a second, that was a small decision,
Okay.
but why is
Yeah.
he always making it or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even very small, seemingly unimportant things can become
Yeah.
bigger or more indicative of other things. But anyway, so the point is that
The
we are
point
bringing all this
is,
stuff into forward with us. We carry it and
yeah,
we've got to let go.
and we got to let go of it. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. All these old wounds, like you said, create familiar patterns, right? Do you want
Yeah.
to explain that a bit more to us?
Yeah. So part of the challenge here, and we have said it many, many times when we had these discussions, is that you need to kind of shake things up for yourself. You
Mm,
have to, you know, experiment with the people that you start to date so that you can kind of break up this pattern and realize what's working and what doesn't. And so when we
Mm,
talked about like the post-date 8 and you think about it and you're like, okay, well, like I was just explaining to you before we started today about these dates where I find myself just laughing. And I
I
think
love it.
I want to laugh, I want to smile, and I want to be around people who they don't have to be comedians, but I want to feel like that is the vibe. Not that I'm
Mm,
dimming down because they're just a very kind of low energy person. So
mm,
if you keep choosing the same people,
yes,
then the same patterns in you are going to come up, the same
absolutely.
compromises. And because it's so familiar, because you've been doing it for so long, you're
Mm,
just going to find yourself repeating and thinking, why am I not enjoying this process? And so, like
yes.
I said, that one, the date recent, well, it's not actually a date yet. We've matched and we've had an hour and a half video call, but I clicked on someone who was not necessarily what I would say is my type,
Mhm.
but then the conversation was super fun, amazing, and created a moment of awareness for me that I can
Yes,
see how I'm evolving, I'm changing, and
yes.
it was like an aha moment for me, actually.
You I'm really pleased you've had this wonderful aha moment. And then one of the third points is
Yeah, yeah.
about healing isn't about fixing.
Oh no.
It's about releasing.
Mm,
And I've had to do that personally. One of my biggest concerns was that
yeah.
I felt people would think if her partner or husband left her, must be because there's something wrong with her. And I carried that for a long time. There was a lot of shame associated with it because I
Mm,
thought
mm,
everybody would think that. And then the more I started speaking to people, and I would say, yes, my husband and I separated at his request, I
yeah.
would get the same response. What? He left you? What? And
What?
yes.
Exactly.
And so slowly, inadvertently, people were kind of helping me reshape my thinking about myself and the
Mm,
separation. And now looking back, I can only say thank you. Thank you for
yeah.
leaving me. Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for
Mm,
allowing me. I know we've done a whole podcast on this already, to be published soon. But thank you. Thank you for pushing me and for having the courage to do
yeah.
that. But part of that was me having to actually decide to release that old belief because it didn't serve me
Mm,
at all, Or
yeah.
the other one that I had was, oh my God, I don't want to not go back into the dating world. And one of the others that I've heard was, oh, I don't want drama in my life. My life is absolutely
Yeah.
perfect the way it is. And now looking back, I remember thinking, what a sad way of thinking that you associate all men with drama. And of course
Or
they are.
relationships with drama,
Yeah,
right? I
that's
mean,
right. Absolutely. And of course there are men that will bring drama into your life. And of course you will do the same. But there's also men that won't. And so to be able to release those ideas and reframe them, instead of saying things like, I'm too old to start dating now.
yeah.
Now I say, oh my God, I'm the prize. And you know what? Anybody that gets to date me is bloody lucky. Um,
Exactly.
Absolutely. Or, I don't want any drama in my life. Why am I already planning drama? And I usually say things like, okay, so the next person that I'm going to date is going to bring joy and happiness into my life. But I think it's one of those sort of it's an active practice that you need to do. Whether you writing it out, whether you're speaking it out, whether you're
Yeah.
thinking it out. Because the truth of the matter is that the more you believe. Men will bring drama, relationships will bring
Mm,
drama
mm,
into my
mm.
life. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
is that you will attract.
And you need to release that idea. And I think, to your point, I think we're all on a healing or, evolving, really, maybe that's a
Mm,
better word, journey
yes,
where, hopefully
absolutely.
by the time we're on our deathbeds, we're going to be perfect. Because we put ourselves in these really
Oh
interesting
my God.
situations and had to claw
Mm,
our way out again. But we're
absolutely.
not going to be fixed. There is no perfect
There is no
state
fix.
because not
Yes,
only is it going to take us a while to realize our patterns or our challenges, but again, we're constantly changing. You're not the
yes,
same person today that you were yesterday. So you're not going to be, maybe yesterday's person is fixed, but now you're today's person. And
yes,
all you can do is keep evolving, letting go of that, any sort of the
absolutely.
shame or the regret. And as
Yes.
we've also said elsewhere, we are not victims, we were
No.
co-creators.
Yes.
And so if we can just accept that and accept that,
Mm.
we did our best at the time. And now come into it with so much more wisdom
Mhm.
and realizing and the joy and the excitement of experiencing who you are now. It's pretty good, actually. It's
Absolutely.
pretty fun.
It's pretty it's amazing, it's amazing because you start thinking to yourself, "Well, who am I now?" And I know I did this at the very beginning of my dating journey. Who am I now and who do I wish to become?
Mm. Yes.
Without all the stories of the past,
Yeah.
not who I had to be, what role I had to play. No, now I look at the woman that I'm becoming because it is a work in progress.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm quite pleased. And I think that's one of the other things as women, we don't always do enough of celebrate our accomplishments. And
Oh,
I'm not talking
yes.
about the external ones, I'm talking about the internal ones. Those little breakthroughs, those little moments like we discussed before this podcast started of I did something different. I invited a match with a person that was not the typical man that I would generally match with.
Yeah.
But look at what came out of it. And I did that at the very beginning when you said to me, Jackie, try on different suits. So
Well, and
now
you
what I
keep, but that it keeps expanding, right? Those suits, now,
absolutely,
now I
yes.
happen to know that you are dating a man in a kilt. So not only
Different
go beyond your
topics.
traditional suit, but let's move on to skirts.
Love it. Brilliant. Just need to get my hands up there.
Hey, hey, this is a family show.
Sorry, never mind. No hands, no hands. So what we're
Well,
really
and I
talking about.
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so what we're really talking about is just releasing that which no longer serves you. And that is not easy to do. But it's possible. I wish to emphasize it. It is possible. And
Yeah.
it's really, asking yourself, well, there is a podcaster that I listen to frequently. His name is Jefferson Fisher, and he uses this line, which I really, really like. And it goes like this: take your beliefs to court. Ask
Mm,
yourself, and let's use me as an example. Oh, I'm too old to start dating now, or there must have been something wrong with me that my
a
partner
single
left me.
mother.
Single mother of two teenage boys. Taking that to court and asking yourself, well, is it fact or is it just a feeling? Is it fact or just a feeling? And I absolutely love this. And then you
Mhm,
start, noting down if you can't actually determine whether or not it serves you, write down what are the benefits of it. And then you can make a decision as to does this belief serve me or does it not? Um, and one of the other things that came about during this entire process, which I love, is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, because
mm,
that's how you start expanding yourself. You expand your boundaries, you expand what you enjoy doing, you expand who you are
mm,
as a person. And it's that kind of realm of discomfort. That's where the change happens. That's where the
mm.
magic happens. That's when you start feeling things that you never felt before because it's all very new to you.
And to that point, kind of, I guess
Mm,
actually this fits nicely with our next point, which is that breakthroughs happen when you change maybe your beliefs, your strongly
yes.
held, I'm a single mother, and that means I don't know, a failure, I didn't do my duty, or whatever that meant to you.
Yeah.
So you have to change what you associate with that phrase and how you think of yourself, but also then you need to change what you tolerate. And tolerate can be, let's just focus on ourselves. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
if somebody is a horrible person, then you won't tolerate them. And hopefully you're getting really good at identifying what is either unsafe or unacceptable from a values perspective. But
Hmm.
you have to think about yourself as well. You need to not tolerate in yourself this dimming down, right? You
Yes.
need to not
Absolutely.
tolerate compromises just for the sake of compromise. I mean, as I said, I'm an easygoing person. I don't have that many strongly held must be chicken on Friday and beef on Sundays. I don't have that many. I really don't care.
Mm,
But at the same time, you need to be aware of how that's affecting you and what compromises are. So,
mm.
don't justify, of course, red flags because you're thinking, well, and this is like a recent date I went on, right? That first date where I was like, I don't think he asked me any questions about myself.
Yeah.
And then by date 3, guess what? He still hadn't asked any questions of me, and that's when I went,
Hmm.
"Okay, okay,
Bye
you
bye.
know, bye-bye." I'm just
Hmm.
checking my intuition, just checking that my memory was correct, but by date 3, it was a clear pattern.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't have put that in a red flag zone necessarily, but it was definitely a yellow one. And I should have by day, end of day two. But day two was confusing. We won't go into that.
No.
But yeah, also don't date from this place of being afraid of being alone. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really, really big thing.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
for those of
Absolutely.
us especially who've been in long-term relationships. So, again, I was in a 30-year marriage plus another 4 years before that. It's a long time to be with
Yes.
someone and to suddenly find yourself not like in a horrible way, but just sort of casting about, kind of unmoored. And you're thinking, oh, wow, this is kind of weird. It's kind of different. And so
Mm,
you getting to the place where you're actually really happy and excited to just be alone
mm,
and experience who you are,
mm.
that allows you to grow
Yeah.
and doing the hard work now. And when we think, I mean, sorry, just one more point. I was going to say,
Yeah.
we've talked a little bit about in both of our exes' cases, they both, kind of, well, certainly mine, rapidly jumped into a new relationship.
Mm,
And while it wasn't really that important to me in terms of like how I felt about our marriage, I didn't blame that on the eventual ending of it. But what occurred to me later was how he did not take the time he needed,
mm.
and he still has not. So he basically went, from breaking up in our relationship to being with her. And I think you need that time. You
You
absolutely
do.
have to take that time. It's
Absolutely.
hard
Yes.
and it's uncomfortable, and you have to just
Mm.
be there with yourself, which is
Mm.
not always fun. But that's when you
No.
start to become a new person.
Yeah. And I'd like to add to that as well, because earlier, and I know we completely agree with this, our time and our energy is really valuable to
Mhm,
us. And one of the other things that happens when you stop dating from fear of being alone is that this time that you refer to, where you are forced to be with yourself, or you should be with yourself, you get to learn to know yourself as well.
mhm, mhm,
And so, for me, one of the key aims of one of my aims after I was divorced was that finding wholeness within myself
mhm.
and loving myself and falling in love with myself again was really important to me. And it's like we said, it is a process. It is a lifelong process, and hopefully at the end we'll be super perfect. However, you find yourself when you value your energy and you value time and you love who you're becoming, you no longer date from the place of fear, because
Yeah.
you know that you hold yourself in high regard. You respect yourself. And so I mean, not often, but on a few occasions, I remember returning from a date thinking, "Oh, darn, I wish I'd rather stayed home and read a book or just spent
Oh,
some time on my own than had this date." It happens to everybody. So I think, yes, what you're saying is absolutely true. The more you date, the more you start noticing these patterns, and then your tolerance levels, you become more aware of what you will and will not tolerate. And one of the other things that we've just spoken about now is energy. I'm a big fan of
yes.
energy. It's
Yeah.
really important to me. And I'm not speaking about being like a jack in the box, high energy constantly. No, I'm speaking about that aura about yourself, the energy that you project, the energy that resonates with people. That's what I'm
Mm,
speaking about. But conversely, you can almost, well, not you, you can pick up people, uh, and you find yourself either being attracted to or repelled by people who have a negative energy.
yeah. Yeah.
And you can almost feel it when they walk into a room. So, you know, if if you date from a place of fear, if your energy levels spells out fear, yeah, then you lead with fear.
Yeah.
Conversely, if you're dating from a place of confidence, you attract more confidence because we attract who we are.
Well, then people
And
want to be
so,
around that, right? People
yeah,
don't
of
want to be
course,
around,
everybody, yeah.
sort of the negative Nelly, or even, but sometimes I find it's even more subtle. I was chatting to someone the other day,
Mhm,
and he's a guy who spends some of his time in Thailand and some of his time in Vietnam. And he was kind of saying, oh, yeah, but, Vietnam, I like the food. I really like the people. I really like
mhm,
this, this city better than that. And I'm kind of
mm.
like, after a while, I'm like, so why are you here? Why are you in Thailand? And for
Yeah.
me, it wasn't that he was being overtly critical or negative, but after a while, I just kind of thought, you don't seem, kind of settled or happy with, the choices you're making. And it
Mm,
seemed like he was just constantly talking about where he wasn't, and that was a much better place. And I just found that kind of not that attractive, right? I really want to be
Yeah,
around people. I
absolutely.
mean, it's okay to say, "Oh, I liked this," or "I didn't like that," but if you
Mm.
kind of go off on a long tangent, it after a while you're kind of like, okay, see ya."
Exactly. And this is exactly what we keep trying to say is that certain things like energy does not lie.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really important that the work starts with you, your
Mm,
energy levels within yourself, your beliefs, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're willing to change, getting
yeah,
comfortable with the uncomfortable, expanding yourself. And I say this message particularly to women because I know we do this. Expand, let your light shine even brighter. Do not dim at all, because once you do, you start falling in love with yourself in a way that I didn't do when I was in my 20s.
yeah. Well, and you're also, I was thinking, we've talked about this a couple times. Sometimes you
Hmm.
see the people, now we look at those people in those long-term relationships, and we see
Hmm.
the sort of dimness in their bearing, in their eyes. And I just think about how excited, like you and I are about this, this journey we're on and all we're discovering. And I think, to embrace that and see that as the opportunity with all its ups and downs is so
Yeah,
exciting. And then that increases your energy and your positivity, right? So,
absolutely.
kind of wrapping this up, the message, you don't need to be healed to be
Hmm.
worthy of a great relationship or
Mm.
of finding some fun dates and perhaps finding love in the long run.
Mm.
You do deserve and you should be seeking a dating life that reflects, how you're evolving. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
realizing like almost every date I realize something. And it should be what you're looking for, how you're evolving. And
Mm.
hopefully you can see the wounds or the old beliefs receding.
Mm.
So
Absolutely.
release that baggage, start thinking about the new story, step into this new era of who you are.
Mm.
It's time for a reset. And this
Yeah,
is
and
an amazing opportunity to get there.
it is, and it's you have the opportunity to rewrite your own story going forward. Shaking off those old beliefs and planning what it is that you actually wish to create in life. And I do hope that this episode has sparked some insights within you, has resonated with you. And do share it. Share it with your friends or your family and help us create and grow our community of dating dames.
And if you're looking for guidance, as we've been sharing, or a few more fun anecdotes from the world of
Mhm.
dating, come find
Mhm.
us on Facebook or Instagram at Dating Dames V2.
And until next time, keep embracing the adventure and trust your instincts. And remember, above all, it's not about him, it's about you.